Welcome to the Big Picture Retirement Show, where you'll learn what it really takes to have a successful retirement. With over 20 years of experience, your host, Rick Rivera of Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, has seen it all and is here to help you achieve your retirement dreams. This is the Big Picture Retirement Show.
Welcome into the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera. I'm Mark Elliott. Glad you're with us today. Rick is a partner of Safeguard Investment Advisory Group. Over 20 years experience in the financial industry, and the team at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group is here to help you create really your big picture blueprint of retirement. It's going to give you some direction and clarity on your road to retirement, income planning, investment planning, tax-efficient planning, health care, long-term care strategies, legacy planning. Of course, Social Security is in the income part, Medicare decisions in the health care part. That's a lot of moving pieces, and that's what the team is here to help you do. Figure out, right? Can I retire? When can I retire? Do I have enough? Will my money last? All those kind of things. And if you have questions about any of that, feel free to call the team. There's no cost to chat with them. It's complimentary. 800-700-1980. 800-700-1980. A lot of moving parts in today's world, economy, the nation. There's a lot of division. And one thing that you want to do is you control your own timeline for retirement, not the government, not Washington, not Wall Street. It's you. Well, to do that, you need to sit down with a retirement team that can help guide you, and that's what Safeguard is here to do. 800-700-1980. Because of that, I think it's one of the more important phone calls you'll make. You can always go to the website to find out more about Rick and Reed and Eddie. Safeguardinvestment.com, safeguardinvestment.com. Hey, Rick, how are you?
Good, Mark. Doing real well. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to talk about several different things. We're going to finish the show in our next segment with some of the top 5 retirement questions. But I thought we'd start with the debt ceiling and the debt world that we're in. We're just shy of $32 trillion in debt as a nation. And so the trajectory is going to continue up. There is not much doubt about that. The debt ceiling, Congress is bantering back and forth. But my personal opinion is, Rick, there's no way they're going to default, right? They're going to come to a decision at some point, and they will figure it out. They will just raise the debt ceiling, right?
For sure. They're going to have to do something. They're going to raise the debt ceiling. We definitely know what that generally means. Inflation, potentially, higher taxes. Actually, maybe not potentially, for sure, higher taxes. And, with everything that's going on, I know it's no surprise to anyone. But at the end of the day, we just have to make sure that we're prepared financially, that as we get, more inflation, or if we do get more inflation, we're set up for that. If taxes do rise, what do we have in place for us to offset? Because the last thing we want is to have our lifestyle affected in retirement because of what the government is doing and some of their crazy decisions.
So when you think about the debt ceiling, for example, the debate, they're not going to default. We've never done that before. There's always the political posturing and all of that. Really, if they just kind of come together, that's what they used to do. They would maybe in public not be on the other person's side, but behind the doors, they actually worked together and actually came up with, some common sense ideas. So how does this impact, really, I think, retirees and those that are getting closer to retirement? Is there an impact? Because is it all basically on taxes? The only way the government really, the number one way they raise money is taxes. So we know that the Jobs Act of 2017, Tax Cuts Jobs Act of 2017, ends in 2025. In 2026, we go back to 17 rates and brackets. Is that really the only option they have to try to get back and lower the debt at some point, is just raise taxes?
Yeah, the scenario here, and this is what I would tell people for their own personal situation, is assume they're going to raise taxes, whether it be, personal income taxes, capital gains taxes. Assume that maybe they may even raise taxation on Social Security. I mean, shoot, the thresholds they've been using on Social Security, are way back since 1983, and they never even been indexed for inflation. So we got to assume in a kind of a way, the worst case scenario, and make sure that we're not caught by surprise. Make sure we have a position in place that if taxes are raised in these different areas, what plans do we have set up on standby that we can implement, whether it be now or down the road, if they raise taxes on us, so that way our lifestyle is maybe affected minimally or maybe none at all. So it's really just having a game plan in place knowing, hey, this is something potentially that's on the horizon.
Well, we know with the number of baby boomers that are retiring every single day, 10,000, I think, is the general number. 10,000 baby boomers retire every single day. And the last baby boomer generation, 1964, was born in that year. So there's still plenty to come. But both sides say it. The Republicans say it. The Democrats say it. The other side's going to get rid of Social Security and Medicare. Well, there's no way. You're never going to get reelected if you do that. Right. There are challenges, though, in that area, those government programs like Social Security and Medicare.
Yeah. And they're, think about it, right now, if your income is over certain limits, your medical premiums go up, your taxes go up automatically just because your income is over certain limits. So there is a possibility. Matter of fact, I was talking to a client yesterday, and they're concerned that their health insurance is going to go up because the government is going to start lowering those standards. So it's just one of those scenarios where, once again, we just need to sit down, look at all the possibilities that could occur, and what are some of the mitigation strategies we can implement in your particular situation, in order to offset some of these things that could occur. Hopefully they don't, but if you have a plan in place, at least you're not going to be caught by surprise.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the idea behind the big picture blueprint is let's look, here's some what if scenarios. How do we handle that? So that if it does happen, you're not caught, surprised, right? But you think about it, 1935 is when Congress and FDR really put in Social Security, 1935. You had to be 65 to get it, but the average life expectancy was kind of in that ballpark of 60 to 62. Most people were going to get there. Well, 1983, as Rick pointed out, that's when they added 50% tax on Social Security, certain, income requirements there. And then 1993, they raised it to where they can actually tax Social Security up to 85%. So there will be changes probably made, but it's a part of your retirement planning, the big picture blueprint. There's certainly income is a big part of that. Social Security comes in that area. When do I claim it? How do I claim it? We know we can do it 62 to 70, and you're not wrong or right at any time, but there is probably a right time for you in your situation. That's kind of the idea. Will there be changes? Probably, but what? We don't know. I mean, for the last decade, Social Security's been saying, hey, we're going to run out of money by 1935. You're going to get 78 cents on the, or by 2035, you're going to get, 77, 78 cents on the dollar. Would that impact your retirement? It might, right? It's about income in retirement. So 800-700-1980 is the number to chat with the team at Safeguard, 800-700-1980. One of those factors, Rick, would be this thing I ran across, mega trends, the longevity economy. This is pretty amazing, I think. Right now in the United States, Rick, there are nearly 90,000 centenarians. Centenarians, you hit 100. So you're 100 years of age or older. 90,000 centenarians in the country right now. By the year 2030, which is 7 years away, not even 7 years, 130,000 will be over the age of 100 or 100 or older. And then by the year 2060, 603,000 Americans will be over the age of 100. That's kind of staggering.
Yeah, those are huge numbers. And I'm glad you bring that up because, it goes to tell you, those that are planning for their retirement right now, especially if, they're planning for X amount of dollars per month to live on and be comfortable in retirement, because we're living longer, not only do we have to make sure that the income plan can adjust for inflation, but here's another thing that we got to keep in mind. Not because we're living longer doesn't necessarily mean that you're, healthy and spry throughout all those years either. So there may need to be a plan that can allow you to offset additional expenses that you don't have when you're younger, such as medical costs and or long-term care. And it may not be a situation where you necessarily need a nurse to come in and take care of you, but maybe you're in a position where, you're living longer, but you can't do some of the heavy lifting around the household that you used to do. And now you need to hire somebody to come in and do some of that heavy lifting that you can't, and that costs money. So these are all things that need to be looked at because we are living longer. And, there's a lot that goes into it.
So when you're sitting down with somebody at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group and walking them through the process, the big picture blueprint, income, investment, taxes, healthcare, legacy planning, Social Security's in the income part, Medicare's in the healthcare part, do you try to make sure they get to 90 or 95 or 100 with your plan? And I mean, if you make it to 100, good luck. I mean, congratulations. New Mexico, I think, is the only state that doesn't tax people once they hit the age of 100. I think that should be unanimous, all 50 states. If you hit 100, you've done your fair share. We're not going to tax you anymore. But
Right.
do you plan for that at a certain age, 90, 95, 100?
Yeah, of course. And, and the funny thing is, Mark, so many people come in to see us and they're like, Rick, listen, I ain't going to make it past 75, or I'm not going to make it past, this age or that age. And we have to sit down with them and tell them, hey, listen, we just have to plan for what if. If you do, we just want to make sure you're still going to be okay. So yeah, we just plan for the worst case scenario. And I shouldn't say worst case scenario, because if you're living longer, I guess that's not necessarily worst case scenario, unless you don't have a quality of life. But again, a lot of times, we don't have choices. If some people, they get medical ailments, dementia, whatever. And a lot of people can go a long time with some of these things. So we definitely plan for, hey, you're going to live, to age 100. And if you do, great, you're fine. If you don't, well, you're fine too.
All right. So here's the deal. The team at Safeguard has created this toolkit for you. It's got retirement guides in it. It's got a webinar that Reed Aberdeen, a partner with Rick in the company, put together, a 30-minute webinar. But it's got the retirement guides, the webinar, all available to you. And it's really just for your information, kind of give you a little bit better understanding of retirement. All you have to do is text the word toolkit. If you'd like those retirement guides in the webinar, text the word toolkit to 951-667-4969. There's no cost to you. It's complimentary. It's just really for your information. Just text the word toolkit for the retirement guides in the webinar to 951-667-4969. They'll send that right out to you. 951-667-4969. Just text the word toolkit to that number and you will get it. Hey, just to wrap things up in this segment before we get to the next segment, Woodrow Wilson signed Mother's Day into law in 1914. Mother's Day is tomorrow. You want to say Happy Mother's Day?
Yeah, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
And to your wife.
Oh, gosh, she's not my mother. I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, happy Mother's Day. And to all the mothers out there, especially my wife. And she's a great mom and obviously a great wife.
Special day for special people, mothers. Happy Mother's Day. All right, we're going to wrap up this show. When we come back, the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera of Safeguard Investment Advisory Group. We're going to look at some of the top 5 retirement questions when we come back. Stay with us. We're back right after this.
You're listening to the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera. For more information about Rick and the Safeguard Investment Advisory Group team, go to safeguardinvestment.com. While you're there, you can also download educational retirement guides and sign up for an upcoming seminar. That's safeguardinvestment.com. Now, back to the podcast.
Welcome back to the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera of Safeguard Investment Advisory Group. Rick located in the office in Corona. There's offices throughout the state of California. There's actually 5 different offices. But Rick and Reed Aberdeen, Eddie Soto, they're the group behind the Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, which is here to help you create your retirement strategy. You can find out more on the website, safeguardinvestment.com, safeguardinvestment.com. And if you want that toolkit, again, just text the word toolkit to 951-667-4969. It's got retirement guides. It's got Reed doing a webinar, 30-minute webinar talking about retirement and the things that Safeguard might be able to do for you. Just text the word toolkit to 951-667-4969. I'm Mark Elliott. Glad you're with us today. Rick, we're going to kind of deal with some of these retirement questions. We've got a list of the top 5 retirement questions. If we get to all of them, great. But I think they're kind of interesting because things are changing since COVID and the markets in 2022. Do you think you can handle some of these top retirement questions?
Yeah, sure. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what I can do.
Well, you've got over 20 years experience, so I think you'll be able to handle them. Here's the first one, though. And certainly with the Fed fighting inflation by raising the interest rates, there's a challenge now to go buy a car, go buy a home because interest rates are rising, which means that house maybe you could have afforded 3 years ago, maybe not today. I don't know. It's kind of different because of the interest rates. So here's the question, though, and I wonder if it's changed because you started the company back in 2008. I would think that certainly was a home challenge at that point during the mortgage crisis. But here's the question. Should I get that dream retirement home now and take out a new mortgage in retirement? And I suppose if you're Jeff Bezos, sure, go ahead. But for everybody else, we need to analyze that probably, right?
Yeah, actually, I was just going to say that. I was going to say, you know what? Absolutely. Yeah, you should. As long as you can afford it, absolutely. You know what? Most of my clients are telling me, hey, listen, Rick, if there happens to be something left over, of course I want it to go to the kids, but I ain't looking to do without in order to leave a bunch of money behind. So yeah, as long as you can afford it, no big deal. And if you think about it historically, even at today's rates, historically rates are actually still relatively low compared to, the 80s,
Yeah, I
So,
remember somebody talking. I think my parents were theirs was like 13 to 15%
oh yeah.
back in the
So,
70s, 80s.
we just been spoiled for such a long time of rates being, 2.5, 3%, these crazy low interest rates. So at the end of the day, it's really a matter of, you know,
Math.
we can make adjustments, we can make sacrifices. We can say, hey, look, if we truly want this dream home or we want this, whatever it is that you want in retirement, we can look at the current interest rates, we can look at the income, we can look at the big picture, so to speak, and say, okay, what is it that we can truly afford? And yeah, you're right, interest rates went up. Maybe we can't quite afford as much, but what would be a compromise that we can make? So it doesn't mean just because interest rates went up, a few percentage points that, now, everything is shot. It just means that, hey, what can we do? What areas can we adjust in order to make this dream happen? And that's exactly what we do. We'll sit down with somebody and say, hey, what is the ultimate goal? And, where can we adjust? What are things that we can do in order to make this goal happen for you?
Yeah, just know that everybody's situation is unique to them, basically. So it really comes down to math. Does it make sense for you or not? And if it does, go for it, right? That's kind of the baby boomer mindset. Then go for it if you can pull it off, and it's not going to affect whether your money lasts as long as you need it to. 800-700-1980 to chat with Rick and the team at Safeguard about that kind of a question or any question that really is affecting your retirement. Here's the next one, and this is one that I would imagine you get some, and that is, Rick, should I pay off my mortgage before I retire? And I would imagine it's probably recommended if we could be there, it'd be debt-free in retirement. I don't know if that's realistic. What's your thought on that?
Okay, there's definitely two schools of thought on this. You'll sit down with some advisors and they'll say, no, you shouldn't, pay off the mortgage. You should, invest the difference and, blah, 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 and all the rest of it. And then I have, there are some clients that you run into and they just feel better, regardless of the financial situation and the numbers. They just feel better having that mortgage paid off. It's a comfort level, and everybody's comfort level is different. But what I can say to you, and this is going to be key to everybody listening right now, if you're keeping the mortgage just because, your tax preparer said, hey, listen, you need a tax write-off, that is not a good reason to keep the mortgage. And that is one of the most popular reasons that I see that people hold on to a mortgage is because, oh, well, I need a tax write-off. That's not the most efficient way. If you think about it, at the end of the day, if I have to, let's just say, for example, I even had people take out a mortgage because of the tax write-off. And here's the scenario. If I got to pay, let's just say, $10,000 a year in interest to the bank, that gives me a $10,000 deduction on my taxes. Even if I'm in a 50% tax bracket, that means I'm giving the bank $10,000 so I don't have to give Uncle Sam $5,000. Under that scenario, I'm cutting off my nose to spite my face. So I rather give Uncle Sam $5,000, I keep the other $5,000. So it has to make sense. So when it comes to paying off the mortgage, again, we'll sit down with individuals and show it to them in black and white. We'll say, hey, if you pay off the mortgage, here's how it's, here's the advantages and disadvantages. If you don't pay off the mortgage, here's the advantages and disadvantages. And then that way you can make an educated decision for yourself as to what's better for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some people that you sit down with, I'm sure, that maybe stress level wise, they're like, man, we don't want to, if we can pay off the house and we're going to be okay. So it lowers their stress level. That's healthier for you. So if that's the case, pay it off. That's where Rick and the team, though, really can come in and walk with you hand in hand and say, here's the, as Rick said, the advantages and the disadvantages of yay or nay, right? It depends upon you and your situation. 800-700-1980 is the number to chat with Rick and the team at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group. Complimentary. There's no cost to you. They would love to be able to help you, walk you through some of these challenges in retirement, income, investment, taxes, healthcare, legacy planning, Social Security, Medicare. They're all a part of it. But everybody's situation is unique. 800-700-1980. Here's a question I don't really like, and that is, how much should I have saved at my age? Because it's relevant. It's really irrelevant. It's what do you need, isn't it?
100%, Mark. And the other thing too, not only what you need is, again, there's so much that ties into it, such as, whatever you need at that moment in time, then how much do we need to make sure that we have enough to cover inflation, medical, and all the other things that we talked about. So everybody's scenario is different. And what I want to make sure that people listening to the show pay attention to is this. You can Google a bunch of information and you're going to research a bunch of generalities, and you're going to, read that, hey, save $2 million, save 80% of your salary, or this, that, and the other. All that information is general. So if I have somebody that comes into me and, let's say they saved only, $250,000, but their pensions are $10,000 a month and the bills are $3,000, and the internet says they should have saved $1 million or $2 million, and they're stressed, I'm like, listen, you got nothing to worry about, because your pensions are so good and and you have no debt, and your income versus expenses are great. Then I get somebody else that comes in, maybe they saved $1 million, and because, that's what they Googled or researched, and they said they should have saved $1 million. But then, they come in and they tell me, hey, I need $10,000 a month to live on. I'm going to say, hey, listen, that $1 million's not going to last you. So you're 100% right. Everything is relative. And this is something that needs to be game planned. Don't wait to the last minute to try to figure out, oh, what should I be saving? The sooner you start your planning, the better off you're going to be.
Well, that wasn't bad. We got through 3 of those top 5 questions, and those were the bigger 3. I thought they're kind of interesting. A lot of people have that. Should I get a second home? Should I pay the mortgage off? Do I need to have a certain amount saved? Well, everybody's situation is unique to them, and that's how the team at Safeguard looks at it. One of the cool things, remember, I've given you the number plenty of times. There's no cost. This is complimentary to chat with the team about any questions or concerns you have about your retirement. It's 800-700-1980. 800-700-1980. Just chat with the team, 50-minute phone call. One of the things that Rick always says is what? A 45-minute chat, you will guarantee them what?
Yeah, they come in 45 minutes. I can guarantee them at least 2 ideas that will enhance whatever it is that they're doing.
How about that? For no cost. Complimentary. Find out more about where you are on that road to retirement by chatting with the team at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group. They have over 20 years experience in this financial world, and it's changing all the time. You need to be able to change with it, but why not let somebody else worry about that and you go enjoy your retirement? 800-700-1980. No cost, no obligation, no pressure. The team's here to help if they can. 800-700-1980. Rick, enjoyed it. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. We'll chat again next week.
Thank you, Mark. Really appreciate it.
Firm offers insurance services. Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC is a registered investment advisory firm. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC. This radio show is a paid placement.